I'm fine. I'm fine. I can hold on to it.
Like, I'm
Brady's
good,
coasting, and you know what? This is on-brand content. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Intoxicated Intellect. Here today, I have with me Brady, I got Jake, and I got a Ben. And we are back because I'm sure you've seen the previous one. If you haven't, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned. Mondays, Thursdays. If you missed the first part of the Sorcerer thing, stay tuned now. We got more for you. We also have a 100 subscriber special coming up. Tell your friends, tell your dog, tell your aunt, tell your groundskeeper, pool boy.
Yeah.
Just tell them to come watch some stuff if they like D&D. Subscribe if they like it even more. Press the buttons. Brady, what's today all about?
Today is part 2 of the Sorcerer subclass tier list. So on Monday, we went over Aberrant Mind, Clockwork, and Draconic Ancestry. Today, we start with the Divine Soul Sorcerer. And this subclass is brought to us by Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
The crazy eye in a jar.
It does get its own expanded spell list, however, slightly. But it is only depending on which affinity you choose. And it's not really a spell list, it's one spell. So good would get you Cure Wounds, Evil would get you Inflict Wounds, Law will give you Bless, Chaos gives you Bane, and Neutrality gives you Protection from Evil and Good. So depending on your affinity, you get a free spell.
Is that the affinity of you or your particular god?
That is the affinity of the source of your divine power. So your god, wherever your power comes from.
Okay.
Also, at first level, you get an ability called Favored by the Gods. Divine power guards your destiny. If you fail a saving throw or miss with an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total, possibly changing the outcome. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish either a short or long rest.
Only one use, though.
One use.
Can't spend sorcery points for that one, boys.
Nope, that is a one and done.
2d4 is not bad, though.
No, it's
Doing
not.
it,
If you really mess something up, that could still make up the difference.
And the fact you get it back on a short rest as well.
I
That is
like
nice.
You and the Warlock are
Taking
going to be
hours.
best friends.
Yep.
Taking short breaks together.
At
Smoke
sixth,
break Warlock, sure thanks, Sork.
Sounds good to me.
heck yeah. At 6th level, you get Empowered Healing. The divine energy coursing through you can empower healing spells. Whenever you or an ally within 5 feet of you roll dice to determine the number of hit points the spell restores, you can spend 1 sorcery point to reroll any number of those dice once, provided you yourself are not incapacitated, and you can only use this feature once per turn.
It only costs 1 sorcery point, though, for whatever number you want to roll.
Yeah.
One
And you don't
sorcery,
have to be the one that's healing.
Nope.
1 sorcery point for a life or death game of Yahtzee. Count me
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You can
every
just
turn.
roll. Like I'm
Also,
gonna keep
plus
these
you
2
can still
sixes.
build a blaster off of this and bump healing.
Yeah. Very useful.
Yeah, the first
Like
one's
that,
favored by the
yeah.
gods. That's a nice gift from whatever god you've got.
Mm.
Yeah.
The
Any
Hey.
alignment, any
useful.
affinity.
Your god wants to keep you and your party alive.
Apparently.
14th level, you get your Angelic Form. You can use a bonus action to manifest a pair of spectral wings from your back. While the wings are present, you have a flying speed of 30 feet. Your wings last until you're incapacitated, you die, or you dismiss them as a bonus action.
That
The
sounds familiar.
Very, very familiar. But, however,
See Sorcerer Part 1.
these have different appearances based on the affinity of your divinity. So, for eagle wings, you get that if you're good or law. Bat wings for evil or chaos, and dragonfly wings for neutrality.
Pretty.
Really nice Fey touch there.
It's
Yeah.
also a nice little
Indeed.
flavor of how to manifest what your god / your personage goes for.
Yeah, because you're really a patron of that with this.
Yeah.
I like that, and it's like, well, call a spade a spade. If you're good or lawful, you get evil.
I am born of Shar. I am probably evil. Suck it.
And then finally, your capstone at 18th level is Unearthly Recovery. You gain the ability to overcome grievous injuries as a bonus action when you have fewer than half your hit points remaining. you can regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum, and you only get it once per
That's
long
dumb.
rest.
That is stupid.
You get it once per
Hello
long
there.
rest.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh,
It's
I'm
a
one.
long rest, but that
Hello there.
basically reses you.
It's like,
I mean,
oh, hey,
you can't use it when you're incapacitated, but
Oh, I'm one hit point below half. Let me now go one hit point
Yeah,
below
one hit
maximum.
below full.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
This
once
is
you
a
get to that
feature.
point.
This is a feature that can't be counterspelled. This is a bonus action that gives you some of the best healing in the game.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You have to wait till level 18 to get it, but goddamn, does that make you harder to kill?
But it's good that they got it.
Adds a quarter to your health pool.
Well, Jake, we'll go ahead and start with you. Give us your
That's right.
thoughts.
I kind of like it. A lot of opportunity to do different things with the spellcaster, just in general.
Yeah.
Flying is always cool. And that heal, dude, that's some shit. Like, you can get into whatever shenanigans you want to get into, and you're like, I fucked up. Let me just like get all my health back. Nothing happened. Oh, good. I like the flavor based off of your deity. As somebody with a chaotic deity, I think that would be kind of fun to have
get a
some
free
sort
You
of
get to choose from
flavor.
chaos or neutral, really.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just purely, are they lawful or chaotic?
Yeah.
Good and evil, you can surely take that, but you can also just choose based, are they lawful or not?
I think this would be a fun way to play it. Probably B plus, A minus.
All right.
Okay.
And now we'll shoot it over to Justin.
All right.
Okay. So, I love getting that flavor from the alignment of your deity. It really expresses itself through you. If you're a divine soul, you're essentially a patron of that deity. The flavor's all there. It's beautiful.
Hold on.
Also-
one thing I forgot to mention. My apologies. You
I
also
was
get
thinking about
access.
that too.
Yeah. Apologies. Completely forgot this. You also get access to the Cleric spell list.
Oh, okay.
You
that's
could
nice.
choose one new spell. You could choose when your spellcasting feature lets you learn a sorcerer cantrip or sorcerer spell first level or higher. You could choose from the cleric or sorcerer spell list now. So
And the cleric's
this
spell
is
list
your
big.
this is your access to cleric spell list. Now keep in mind that your flavor should indicate that you follow some of the same kind of benefiting spells if you're good or lawful or stuff like that. It stands to reason that if it's a damaging spell and you're supposed to be lawful good, if it's not like smite or things like that, it gets a little wonkety. I love seeing Angelic Form and Wings come online at 14th level again.
Light's always nice.
See the previous video. It's cool. It's the same flavor text. Like, they literally just copy pasted and then gave you what you get for lawful or evil or chaos or neutral. It is the same thing. The only thing I would like to see from this, because I love Unearthly Recovery, it is, like I said, one of the best heals, if not the best heal in the game. Can't be counterspelled, can't be stopped. It is inherent to the class. You gotta wait for a while to get it, but you get at least half your hit points back.
Talking like
which is
80 hit points at level 18.
Yeah, and for a sorcerer, that gives you a lot more time in combat because you're squishy as fuck, man. Like,
Yeah.
especially with this subclass, you get cure wounds, inflict wounds. You can still cure yourself if you have to, which is good. But this is your real main bread and butter heal at that level. And favored by the gods is great too. The only thing I would like to see from this, and this is the reason I am going to put it at probably a high B. The only thing I would like to see from this is just give me one more spell for my alignment. Just one more. Because Cure Wounds is great, but Healing Word is sometimes better. Inflict Wounds is great, but there are other things for that too. Bless is honestly great for Bane and for
Bless and
taking
Bane,
flavor
Law
from the
and
balance.
Chaos are super helpful.
Yes, but even neutrality, protection from evil and good, it helps to even out the playing field, and I understand that too. But can you just give us like one more spell for each of these?
Or even an option between two of them.
Just a couple of options. I think that's the only place it falls short because everything else looks great. Everything else is entirely useful at all of these levels of the game. You're a sorcerer that becomes a very, very powerful healer, and you could stay up to do it with Cure Wounds. I would just like to see Healing Word with that, or like some sort of restoration, or and you could still pick those up, but I would like to see those guaranteed so that you can more flesh around and play around. So that's just me. I'm
Fair
throwing it like a mid B because I just think it could be better.
Okay.
I think it kind of treads a not so great line between pulling off what the sorcerer can do and adding to it. I don't think it adds enough to it, and I think it does take from it as far as, you know, empowered healing is good. But if you have to re-roll all of those dice,
Mhm.
if you don't do really good, you can use it once per turn. You get a frequency for it, but it's still just there's
Well,
something here that's fallen short.
You,
Tell
you,
me differently.
you get to reroll any amount. You don't have to reroll all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You can just choose how many did you roll bad on. Re-roll those.
Yep. Ben, what are your thoughts?
But since that leaves me, I'll tell you my grade first, and then I'll kind of explain why. I think this is not as good. I think this is worse than Aberrant Mind or Clockwork. That being said, I still think it is in the A tier.
Okay.
For a few reasons.
Tell me why, Ben. Tell me why.
I agree with Justin that I wish there was a little more guaranteed off the spell, or at least that spell table, based on your affinity. However, having access to both the Cleric and Sorcerer spell list, and with the way that these abilities lay out, I know, Justin, you had mentioned that you should probably kind of stick with what your what your deity is about.
The cleric spell list is kind of limited, I think, to
But
your alignment in that way.
Not necessarily. There are some parts that are. There are some parts that are. And that's why it mentions that you have to follow all alignment details about things if you're going to cast them. But the way that this reads is it doesn't tie you down between being a support character or being a blaster character. You have the option to do either. You have the option to do battlefield control and still help out. The cleric spell list has some very powerful damaging spell lists.
Yeah.
Especially with things like being able to get access to
Toll the Dead.
spiritual weapon and stuff like that, where you can do damage and stay out of the fight as a bonus action, on top of doing other damage or healing or what have you.
This is the support skill line for the sorcerer, is what I'm hearing you say.
This is the first crack at it, and then Clockwork I think does it a little better personally. Okay. But I also have my biases, so fair enough. My favorite part about this, though, is, like I said, it doesn't tie you into, I have to be a healer, or I have to be a blaster, like a lot of the other classes tend to do. You have the option to go either way. Favored by the gods, if you miss with an attack roll, that could be a melee attack, that could be a spell attack, that could be a number of things that you missed with. So that alone gives you some multi-classing capabilities. Empowered healing, you're not the one that has to be casting the healing. You just have to be within 5 feet of who's ever casting that healing.
I was about to grab you on that, and then I reread it, and it doesn't have to be you that's empowering it. You are
as long as
amplifying
they're
that
next
healing
to you,
energy.
you just go have fun. So picking people up in between fights, or if you're up close and personal with your paladin or what have you, and man, we need a quick heal. Bump, go.
The only thing I don't like about that is that you're re-rolling those dice and not adding dice to it.
You're re-rolling them, but then how many times you've rolled a d6 and wound up with a 1?
Yeah.
A simple re-roll on that is fairly powerful. I don't want to stress like advantage alone confers like an additional 2 to 3 points.
But it's the other side of it. See, like so you can re-roll, say, a 3 and you get a 1. You can re-roll 3 3s and get 3 1s.
Oh, absolutely.
I think a guaranteed like 2d6 would have been better for that. That's all I'm saying.
It is, but that's the thing. If they roll, hey, I rolled really well, save your sorcery point. It only costs a sorcery point. So if they're like, hey, I rolled 2 1s or a 1 and a 2, spend a sorcery point to try to re-roll that. Even if they wind up with a 1 or 2 again.
The fact that it's always 1 and it's not tied to the amount of dice you're re-rolling.
Exactly.
It's the real
That's
benefit.
where I think it kind of makes up the difference there.
Tell us where you end up on that argument in the comments if you watch this far.
Yep. For this particular class, I will say for multi-classing, Favored by the Gods is cool for like a 1-level dip. I personally wouldn't multi-class into this unless there's a very real reason why you're trying to get that 2d4 added in. Are you really missing something that you need to get, or do you have certain spells that you need to go off type of deal?
Yeah, Sorcerer is going to be like a 1 through 6 probably multi-class, especially
for a lot of them, I would say
abilities.
so, yeah.
And this one doesn't, like, depending on
It
what you're
just,
going for.
yeah,
it's
it
not-
just doesn't quite feel right. Getting access to Bane is always nice for a 1-level dip, or Bless. Having those as an additional is nice, don't get me wrong. But I think this really shines as a full straight to 20, which I think a lot of the Sorcerer kind of falls into. So I have to give this an A. It's below Aberrant Mind. It's below Clockwork. So if we put Aberrant Mind at the lowest A, I gotta put it at a B. But I think this is A worthy. But based on how we're doing this democratically, that might.
I
change
wouldn't
later.
necessarily say I do think Aberrant Mind is better than this. I still think Aberrant Mind is a low A, but I still think this one should be wedged in, shimmed in at that low A as well. I
So
don't think
so
it's
we're
quite as
going to
powerful.
the lowest possible A.
Of current, yes.
All right.
I don't want to say that will always be the case because we got 3 more subclasses to go through, but
But as of current, that is going in the lowest possible way we have.
All right,
Got it.
let's keep
Worked for me.
rolling. Who's got Shadow Magic?
so I'm gonna take Shadow Magic.
Take it away, man.
So Shadow Magic is actually really fun. It gives a lot more like necrotic style. Whereas the last one is divine. This is a little more necrotic. A lot of your power comes with Shadowfell.
Ah, the
Um,
opposite flavor. Yeah.
So one of the nice things with this is you don't get a spell, but you do get some fun quirks to go with your character, depending on what you want to go with. You're always icy cold to the touch. When you asleep, you don't appear to breathe. You barely bleed, even though badly injured. Your heart only beats once a minute. You have
I
trouble
like the
remembering that.
flavor of these.
Yeah,
I really
you have
like
trouble
these.
remembering that living and dead creatures should be treated differently. You blinked once last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
Also, when your heart beats, sometimes it surprises you.
Yeah.
This is the best flavored table that I've seen so far.
Yeah, no,
Go on,
I
Ben. What
really
else?
like I really like Shadow Sorcery for that. But in addition to that, you get some other fun things. Eyes of the Dark, you have dark vision range of 120 feet. When you reach 3rd level, you gain access to the darkness spell. Which doesn't count against you. And if you can cast it by spending 2 sorcery points or by expending a spell slot. But if you cast it with sorcery points, you can see through it. Which is one of the big limitations of casting darkness.
Because
You can't see through it.
you're casting magical darkness.
Yep.
Even though you
Unless
have
you have
dark
level
vision,
sight,
that's
yeah.
natural darkness.
That's strong.
In addition to that, you get an ability pretty similar to DMs if you ever gone into any of the undead stat blocks. You get something called Strength of the Grave. So, because you're kind of in that twilight space between life and death, you become difficult to kill. If you are reduced to 0 hit points, you make a Charisma saving throw, DC 5 plus the damage taken. On a success, you instead drop to 1 hit point. You cannot use this feature if you're reduced to 0 hit points by Radiant or a critical hit.
Okay.
And after the saving throw succeeds, you cannot use this feature again until you finish a long rest.
I
But
see
you
where
do get a
that's going.
free kind of save from death as long as an angel didn't strike your ass down. Or someone get real lucky.
Or the BBEG didn't decide to make you a solo target.
I mean, you at least get one chance to survive through that, is the thing.
No, I mean, but not at like higher levels where it could be like 20 plus damage or whatnot, is what I'm saying.
It could be 20 plus damage, but that's one of those where me as a DM, I'd roll, if you roll a nat 20, I'll give you the save.
Yeah.
You have a 1 in 20 chance of saving for it. Still roll for it. But once again, that's a DM ruling. Have fun at your own tables with that rule. At 6th level, you get access to something called Hound of Ill Omen. This is really fun. I really like this ability. So
License
you gain the
to ill.
Yeah, you gain the ability to call forth a howling creature of darkness to harass your foes. As a bonus action, you can spend 3 sorcery points to summon your hound. And you target one creature you can see with 120 feet of you. That hound uses the direwolf stat blocks, along with certain changes. The hound size is medium, and it counts as a monstrosity, not a beast. It appears with a number of temporary hit points equal to half your sorcery level, so not a lot of hit points on this.
Okay.
It can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but it does take 5 force damage if it ends its turn inside an object or a person.
As you do with force damage. And so,
Yep.
Yep.
At the start of its turn, the hound automatically knows the target's location. If the target is hidden, it is no longer hidden from the hound. You're
That's
trying to
pretty
chase
dope.
someone down. This is your bloodhound.
It
Go
can pass.
and follow.
They're running through a maze. They know
Mhm.
it, and you don't. This is your pursuer. This
Yep.
thing will just run through the maze's walls and catch this thing. As
Yeah, it
long as
will.
it doesn't end its turn inside
Inside the
that
wall.
wall,
You're still good to go.
that it'll chase it through woods.
Yep.
walls.
You choose the hound to appear at an unoccupied space within 30 feet of the target. You roll initiative for the hound. On its turn, it can only move towards the target by the most direct route. If it's through a wall, it goes through the wall.
It's through the wall.
straight
That's what
line.
it's made for.
Shortest distance to a point.
Yep, and it can use this action to only attack its target. That is the only use for its action. The hound can make opportunity attacks, but only against its target. Additionally, while the hound is within 5 feet of the target has disadvantage on saving throws against any spell you cast.
Damn.
So, fears and stuff like that can get pretty useful here. The hound disappears if it's reduced to 0 hit points, if the target is reduced to 0 hit points, or after 5 minutes. Hound of Ill Omen is cool.
That's pretty
That's
dope.
how you. That's
Yeah.
how you end a fight.
Yeah.
This
It's a
one.
good doggo.
Like that's
This is
how
a real good
you.
doggo.
That's how you chase down that last guy that you need to interrogate.
Yep.
You
You
incapacitate
non-lethal
him
him
with
down,
that
yeah.
saving throw and
Yep,
ask
jump
whatever
on him. It's
question you
great.
want.
Yeah,
He's
no,
frightened by a
I
hound
know
that
about it.
passes through.
I think
walls.
adding a poison aspect to the hound's bite with like a paralysis condition on a failed save would be something.
That
That
would
would be
be really
sick.
strong. I think that might get to breaking a little bit. Fun.
Possibly.
Homebrew that with your DM. If you can find some stuff that makes that work, go for it.
As far as
do
I
worry
go,
that
I
it
would
does break
I would
things.
do like a D6 necrotic.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember what the Direwolf does base damage anyways, but like I said, you use the Direwolf stat block for it. At 14th level, you quiet for a little bit, but honestly, that Hound of Ill Omen's dope. At 14th level, you gain access to Shadow Walk. So, you gain the ability to step from one shadow to another. When you are in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can teleport up to 120 feet to an unoccupied space you can see that is in dim light or darkness.
It's a lot of free
Use ready
movement.
for night infiltrations.
I was gonna say you can jump from shadow to shadow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
man.
Yeah, guess who just became an infiltrator?
That's
I
that's
believe
some
Kelly
real
on
shadow
Dungeon-
magic shit.
I believe Kelly on Dungeon Dudes has a character that has a very similar ability. I'm not sure.
It's a
that in
possibility.
the subclass,
It's
but I
kind of
do
similar
know
to
that
the
it's a
Phantom Rogue's ability to, or the whatever the Psionic Rogue's ability to throw a
Yeah.
dagger.
Soul
and
Knife,
teleport
yeah.
to. It's very similar to that.
move amongst the shadows.
But your capstone with this is your Umbral Form. So starting at 18th level, you can spend 6 sorcery points to transfer yourself into a shadowy form. In this form, you have resistance to all damage except for Force and Radiant. And you can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You, just like your Hound, you take 5 damage if you end your turn inside one of those. You remain in this form for 1 minute. It ends early if you are incapacitated, if you die, or if you dismiss it as a bonus action. You
So
can
it
use,
reads
as long as you have sorcery
up.
points, you can keep using this, though.
You are now a caster with the stats of a borderline barbarian.
Yeah, pretty close pretty close to a totem barb, honestly, outside of Force and Radiant.
Ooh.
Shadow form.
That is
I
nothing
love
to
Shadow
joke about.
Sorcerer.
That is
Yeah.
nothing
Brady,
to joke about.
Brady, keep rolling, man. I want to hear.
Yeah, you're on it.
everything.
Let's see what you got.
Honestly, like that umbral form is something to not be discounted, no matter your opinions on the rest of this class. Which this class, Xanathar's got it right. They
I really like
they
how
had an
this one.
idea, and they didn't fuck it up. It's a miracle.
There isn't anything here that isn't like out of flavor.
Right.
This is your necromancer that rose through the ranks from one of the lowly undead
Yeah.
at the beginning. I
This is
love
your
that
resurrected
flavor.
cop.
I love
with a,
Yeah.
pet dog.
I love the roleplay on it. I love the abilities. That Hound of Ill Omen is quite insane. The ability for the free drop to 1 hit point, and then Shadow Walk. You're teleporting. I mean, what couldn't this class do? Especially because you're already a charisma heavy character. you're getting in and out of places. If you're running an all rogue campaign, I might even throw one of these in there as a player character because
Especially
of
if you're late stage.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got to give this a solid A tier.
Okay.
Man, that's real hard to argue. That's real hard to argue because the numbers are there. The Hound of Ill Omen is a feature that
It's so good. It's so cool.
the last guy in a fight. If you ever have a question as to where you should go next, that's you catch him with the Hound of Ill Omen. Have the DM tell you you're never lost. Strength of the Grave, a sorcerer finds a way to surpass death. Even though he only gets a little amount of hit points and only some armors, he's still here. I love that. The Shadow Walk. The Shadow Walk is a whole nother feature. It's better than Flight in
certain
a lot of cases. You're gonna be hard pressed even on a sunny day to not be able to find shade. The only place that's not going to work is in a desert.
Yeah.
But also if you have
it will in a desert at night.
Yeah, and also if you have something large enough to throw across the trajectory of the sun, maybe you can, someone's tossing a ball and you're just having your
I'd allow it.
shadow magic sorcerer just jump up in front between it. Yeah. And then Umbral Form, you essentially get to become the Hound of Ill Omen. I can't disagree with an A. I want to say, oh man, this is just a great add-on to the Sorcerer, and you can use this in a lot of ways. This is a high A. I don't know if it's top tier A. I think it's right below. Jake, what do you think?
You guys are missing the point. This is an assassin. You want to disrupt the economy of a town. You want to get in and just fucking wreck from the inside, bro. You send this. You're walking into a fucking town to fucking murk somebody. You send this dude the night before.
Yeah.
And he meets you at the gate. This is like, this is what we need to go through. This is how many. Like you're looking at not only an assassin, you're looking at a straight up scout. You're looking at, somebody who if you need to incapacitate somebody, like you're last year to the fight, you need to figure out, you need information. Send that fucking hound out. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can. This class is ridiculous.
You can only attack or anything. You can't really use that hound to scout, but you're still gonna see what it's used.
You go in and
knows its target.
You're teleporting 150 feet between shadows. You can go through fucking walls. You can figure out whatever you need to figure out. Go in and just completely disrupt that fucking town. I love it. It's a character I'd like to play. It's a character I often play in tactical bacon situations. I'm gonna give this one an S. This is, I might play this class one day and just fuck shit up.
So I think that puts it at a very high A.
Yeah.
I do want to also mention that as a multi-class, this is another one where I think once you hit 6th level, 6th or 7th, depending if you want that 3rd level spell slot or not, you can move on from. But pushing all the way, like Strength of the Grave, Eyes of the Dark is always nice. Don't get me wrong. But that Hound of Ill Omen has so many uses to it.
No one will ever get away from a fight. If you can see them when they're leaving, and they're 120 feet, that hound is gonna seek their asses out.
I'm gonna look up the speed of a dire wolf.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think this is like a mid to I want to say 2/3 to 3/4 A.
Yeah.
They're not outrunning that Hound of Ill Omen.
Is fast.
50 feet.
Yeah, no, Direwolf is very fast.
Decent.
And it's medium, so it's going to be able to pounce on any humanoid that you try and pursue.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that I really appreciate between what Xanathar's and Tasha's did with the Sorcerer is Divine Soul and Shadow are essentially what Clockwork and Aberrant do.
Yeah.
They share they have different flavor text and different abilities and stuff like that you can morph to do slightly different things, but they have the same base kind of okay, this one leans a little more support.
They are
This
both
is a
two
little more
sides of the same
infiltration,
coin.
and yeah, they both
Yeah.
feel very in the same vein.
Complementary to each other. It just depends on whether you want to go towards something pristine, beautiful, shiny, or you want to go toward the weird and the dark.
Yep.
You know, it gives you two sides of the coin for each of those to do that. I do. That's a good point, Alpen. I like that.
Yeah. Shadow
This
Magic
does
is one of
seem
my
like
favorite
this
sorcerers. I
does
love
seem
this.
like kind of a primordial and more rounded way to
Mhm.
express the aberrant mind. And the aberrant mind does seem like a logical next step of this because you're
Yep.
conjuring, you're changing yourself instead of conjuring your Hound of Ill Omen, and all that kind of stuff. See our other video. Storm
Next.
Sorcerer.
Yeah. What do you got for us, Jake?
So, y'all ever want to been a pirate?
Always.
Always. Yeah.
Because this is I wouldn't take this for anything but a seafaring campaign. But like, if you're gonna go out on the high seas, bro, this is it.
I believe this first appeared in the Sword Coast Adventures.
Yeah,
Yep.
it did.
I
Sword
think
Coast
that came
Adventures
out-
Guide, and it's in Xanthars.
I think it got a little update in Xanathars.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, you were born of the Salton Sea. You were born in the lighthouse in the middle of a stormy night, on a ship, to a guy that swears a lot. This
Sounds
is
about
this
right,
is going to
yeah.
be for you. Basically, the magic you command is infused with elemental air. You can speak, read, and write primordial. So you can speak with, all your crazy dialects: Aquian, Aryan, Ingan, and Terrian.
all the planes of primordial earth,
yeah.
air, fire, and water.
Yeah. At first level, you can use a bonus action to cause whirling gusts of elemental air to briefly surround you immediately before or after you cast a spell of first level or higher, which allows you to fly up to 10 feet without provoking an opportunity attack. So you need to
that's
get the
cool.
fuck out after you cast something because something's right up in your grill. Cast it and run.
Any spell of first level of higher,
Yeah.
it
First
just
level or
doesn't
higher.
apply to cantrips, but you get
And it-
essentially evasion with any
Yeah.
spell you cast
Yeah,
at first level or
As a
higher.
bonus action.
Disengage.
Yeah, you get a free
Disengage,
disengage.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah,
At 6th level, you gain resistance to lightning and thunder damage.
the storm
yeah.
comes to fruition.
In addition, whenever you cast a spell at first level or higher that deals lightning or thunder damage, stormy magic erupts from you, which basically causes anybody within 10 feet of your choosing to take lightning or thunder damage.
That's
Um,
dope. Yeah.
Each time the ability activates.
And that damage
Yeah.
is equal to half your sorcerer level.
This feels so much like a dive in, cast a spell.
This
leap
feels
yourself
like
away.
Guys, this feels like Storm from X-Men.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dive sorcerer.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's dive comp. This is a
So
monkey.
what else do you get at 6, Jake?
At 6th level, you can control the weather.
It is Storm. It is Storm.
It is storm. If it's raining, you can
Yeah.
use an action to cause the rain to stop falling in a 20-foot radius around you. You can use this effect as a bonus action. Also,
Nice.
if it is windy, you can
Use an
affect
action,
the
end it as a bonus action.
Yep. Actually, if it's windy, as a bonus action, you can actually choose the direction of the wind within a 100-foot radius sphere. Blows in that direction till the end of your next turn. And this feature does not alter the speed of the wind, but
It's a
I mean,
You
redirect.
can just throw
it's
the
a
bonus
redirect,
action
man.
back up.
Like,
Is
Yeah.
the
If
wind
you're-
not in your favor while you're shooting arrows across to another boat? Now it is.
Or is the
Exactly.
wind gonna dash you against the rocks? No, you're fine.
bro, you need to make it from continent to continent in 7 days when it usually takes 10. No problem.
Yeah.
As
Give 'em
long as
time
there's
to sleep.
wind, you'll have
Yeah.
full sails.
Yeah.
Also, just I'm tired of being wet, so I'm gonna stop the rain from falling.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's been raining forever.
It's
I'm
it's
done.
filling up the boat. This is bullshit. We need some
It's-
dry weather.
It's Nom, and I want to be dry. Stopping
Yep.
it.
5 gold
what
to
is
stand
that?
within the radius.
I'm charging admission.
What do you get at 14th level?
At 14th level, when you're whacked, that's WACQED, you can use your reaction to deal lightning damage to the attacker. The damage is equal to your sorcerer level, But the attacker must also make a strength saving throw against your sorcerer spell save, and on a fail save, that attacker is pushed in a straight line up to 20 feet away from you.
That's not a
Damn.
save you want to meet. That is an electrocution.
Yeah,
That
you
is
No,
are
someone
have you ever
touching.
seen someone get like zapped by a crazy electric shock and launched across a room?
Oh yeah,
That's
Yeah,
terrifying.
this one's just a DC current that's nice enough to knock them across the room rather than hold them there, and you have to kick the ladder out.
oh yeah. Remember, kids, don't lick the batteries in your electric vehicles. It's a
Yeah.
bad time.
Don't lick any batteries, really.
Also that, yeah.
Except 9
9
volts.
volts sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Don't
Put
lick
away-
things that aren't meant to be licked.
I'm not advocating anything here. I am not an electrician, nor am I a doctor. But what do we get at 18th level, Jake?
At 18th level, well, first we need to put a disclaimer on don't lick batteries.
Yeah, please don't lick batteries.
Please
don't be
lick
that person.
batteries. At 18th level, you are immune to lightning and thunder damage.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah.
As well, you get a magical flying speed of 60 feet.
Just whenever.
But
Just whenever.
as an action, you can reduce your flying speed to 30 feet for 1 hour and choose a number of creatures within 30 feet of you equal to 3 plus your charisma modifier.
So 8 creatures at this point.
Yeah.
Those creatures gain a 30-foot magical flying speed for 1 hour.
And you can do it every short rest.
You can do it every short rest.
Hey, we're gonna fly for an hour, take a break for an hour,
who
fly
needs
for an hour.
polymorph anymore?
Yeah.
I need a storm pool.
Dudes, this is exactly Storm from X-Men.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all of the abilities, having not really read
Just
through
make sure
this.
you zap a frog.
Yeah. You know what happens to little toads when they get struck by lightning?
This is something.
The same thing as that.
Who
All right,
was
Jake. Jake, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to call it out. Who's taking this one? First?
Oh, eeny, meeny, miny, Benjamin.
Alrighty. So, I love the flavor of this. As someone as someone who loves the X-Men in general, like you hit the nail on the head with calling this Storm because it's exactly
Dude, I
what
would
you
love
are.
to do this. This is
Yeah.
so much fun. You get to fly it.
I would agree with Jake. I'm taking this on a pirate campaign or on a campaign where I am on the coast.
You're
Yeah.
controlling the weather. It's the Sword Coast Adventures.
Yeah.
Man,
For much else, I don't think I'm taking this, even though it's got some really cool stuff. It just with how fitting it is for the Swords Coast and pirates, that is when I would take it. Resistance at level 6 then becomes immunity at level 18 to lightning and thunder. Those come up a decent amount, not gonna lie. That's nice. Being able to give flying speed for an hour. 30 feet every 6 seconds. Extrapolate that out to an hour. How far can you guys actually fly? Someone do the math for me.
Yep,
I'm
I
not
got
doing it
you.
right.
That is 300 feet a minute, so 300 times 60. Give me 1 second here.
3 times 6 is
1800.
18, and then add the zeros.
Yeah.
300 times 60.
We
Yeah,
play D&D, so we can do math.
Yeah. Should be like
American math.
1800, 18,000? I don't know.
It's 18,000 feet, which
Yeah.
18,000 divided by
18,000
5,281. That's
It's like
just
a
just under 3.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 3.5. That's not
That's like a
insignificant.
5K. That's
yeah,
like a
that's
5K.
straight up. That is straight. Yeah. That
That's
is,
2/3 of Everest.
yeah.
Everest has height, though. It's different.
I do love.
Straight up.
Like wind speaker's cool. I think depending on the campaign you're in, useful. Otherwise, useless. Tempestuous Magic and Storm Guide Storm's Fury are really fun when it comes to teleporting in and out of a fight. My biggest detriment to this is lightning and thunder can be resisted a lot, and there's no way, unless you take Elemental Adept, to negate resistance. And then in addition to that, they came up with great ideas for Lightning Cleric, like Tempest Cleric and Storm Herald, Sork, and all that. There's like no lightning and thunder damage spells.
No.
Yeah.
Unless you are willing to work with your DM or player and homebrew a lot of spell effects to become lightning and thunder, which can break the game depending on the spell effect. be careful. It's really cool if there was a lot more lightning and thunder you could add into it. Like your all your abilities do with them, which is cool, but it's not. I got thunderclap. Whoop de fucking do.
Thunderclap,
Goddamn.
Witch Bolt, and Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I gotta give this one. As much as I love the flavor, I gotta give it a C just because it feels so specific and limited to what the setting you're in. So I'll give it a high C. If I'm in the Sword Coast or if I'm playing a pirate, this could be a B plus. I gotta give this is a C just because every other campaign, I would play something different.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Justin.
I would recommend you send it to Brady next.
Brady.
All right.
Yeah.
Ben literally
reverse card.
Ben literally hit everything I was gonna say. I honestly have nothing to add. I'm giving it a C plus. It's not that great of a class if you're going through the middle of the woods or something, or like a town, which is where most
fucking
camp.
help.
Sorry, you threw it to me, and I thought to myself, he's gonna regret this.
You fucked up now. He Uno reversed your Uno reverse.
Okay. Well, that's fine, because that makes this a little easier for everyone. No, actually, it doesn't. I'm gonna flip the script on you now, Ben.
Okay.
And say that Wind Speaker and Tempestuous Magic, if you find yourself in a campaign that's evolving beyond what you were prepared for,
okay,
and you're not a sorcerer, just being able to fly up to 10 feet as a spellcaster without provoking opportunity attacks is one of the best ways to get out of a situation as a spellcaster that I have seen in any of these subclasses yet. And that's a 1-level dip.
Okay.
I would love that. Just anything. Dissonant Whispers at first level. Boom. Bane. Bless. First level. Boom. Helping my allies. If anyone's around, I can just bump out of there. That's a great thing, and I think it needs to be just a hair higher, because I do think the other things that you guys have said line up.
Okay.
Like, Ben, you really did hit it. There's a lot more, and this is very campaign dependent, which is why it first debuted in Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, because this is meant to be like Jake said. And Jake, frankly, being the one that's been in the least amount of these and has had to read the least amount of all this subclass content, he could see that this was campaign dependent even before he started reading the class out to us.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to hover it around, like, I think it's a mid to low B, but I do think that 1-level dip and the multi-class can't be understated just for having what is...
It's a good escape mechanism.
Yeah.
And that doesn't limit you from getting a lot of captains.
If you don't have an ASI available, you can do a 1-class dip, on something that you would get nothing anyway.
And now you also know evasion. 5 new languages.
Yeah, it's essentially evasion and a way to all the primordial languages. So if you find yourself in a campaign where you're fighting a lot of Jinn, you're fighting a lot of elementals from all the primordial planes, this is going to be almost indispensable for one of your spellcasters to pick up. At least
I can see it in that regard.
Yeah, especially for someone that doesn't have a lot of innate defense, like as a bard. Like, I think a bard picking this up would be great, because a bard doesn't have a lot of ways to evade those opportunity attacks if they find themselves in a bad situation. And they often have to find themselves, a lot of spellcasters will moonlight, I'll say, as melee characters if it means taking out 1 or 2 that they think they can feel in a crowd control setting. This is going to be great for that if you find yourself in a situation that you're outgunned. And I think Tempestuous Magic is just a great feat to pick this up in a multi-class and bumps it up a little bit further.
So we got a B and 2 C pluses. Where are we putting it?
I think this sits. I really like that, and I think that does bump it a little bit. Once again, your argument with it becomes if you find yourself in a particular campaign.
Yeah.
Even with the multi-class capabilities, and well, don't get me wrong, being able to escape from a without opportunity attacks is very nice.
With the bonus action.
In general, that is very useful.
Yeah.
But even with like the way that you argued for it, with it being that, hey, if you find yourself in this kind of a campaign,
I will say that even with tempestuous magic, you do have to anticipate it because you have to call it out before you cast that spell.
you can do it before or after, to be fair.
Before or after you cast the spell,
Yeah.
but you
So you can
still
be like,
have
oh,
to
I
be
really
able-
don't want to actually be here.
Yeah.
That
But
leads us into one more
yeah.
subclass.
By
Justin.
the way, what did we say for that? Let's just be very
Oh,
clear.
it was a low B after
Low
all
B.
of it.
Okay.
Everyone enjoy the nice background music that is playing. All
All
right, Justin. Let's take us into our last and final subclass in Sorcerer.
So,
Who wants some fuck shit?
I can give you some fuck shit, and I can give you some lore to go with it. Back in 4th edition, there was something called the Spell Plague, where something crazy happened with the Goddess of Magic, and the Weave, as it is called, was rent in twain, and all sorts of weird shit happened, creating a lot of wild magic areas. A lot of mages killed themselves. A lot of because they couldn't have access to magic because the weave was broken. It was really weird. Go read 4th edition lore. I recommend Jordan. The PH is silent. JORPHDAN. Plug. Free. It's just for you, buddy. About all this lore, because that's where I learned a lot. But a wild magic sorcerer pulls elements of the weave together. They don't quite understand how they're doing it, but they know that they can pull magic from the ethereal and into their control. It comes from the wild forces of chaos that underlie that creation. That is the weave. You may have been exposed to it. You may have been a victim of the spell plague. It doesn't matter what you do. When you choose this origin at 1st level, right off the bat, your spellcasting unleashes these surges of untamed magic. And once per turn, the DM gets to have you roll a d20. When you cast a sorcerer spell at 1st level or higher, and you roll on the wild magic surge table, please see that surge table. It is absolutely perfect to this. The wild magic surge table is going to be your 2nd sheet after your character sheet on this character.
You only roll on that table if you roll a nat 1 on that d20.
If you roll a 1,
it depends
roll on
on
it for the surge.
Does it say? Okay,
It says if you roll a 1.
Yeah.
If you roll a 1.
Yeah.
You're going to have your own special critical fail table. And it is the wild magic surge table.
And none of it is good for you.
Just go look it up.
Go look it up.
Yeah.
I need to. Wild magic is unpredictable. The weave is unpredictable, especially if you're conjuring it and you don't know what you're doing.
Anything from you now have blue hair to, oh no, you've just fireballed your entire party.
Yep.
Could be a simple translation spell, could be a simple vanity thing, or we're all TPK'd and the campaign's over. You also get at 1st level something called.
I think we lost Jake.
No, I'm still here.
Nah, he's still here. So if the effect that happens on that wild magic table is a spell, it's too wild to be affected by your meta magic, and if it normally requires concentration, it doesn't require concentration. It's just a wild spell that you fired off. There's no meta magic. It just came out of nowhere. That's one thing you get. The other thing you get at 1st level is the Tides of Chaos, and you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage on one attack roll, ability check, saving throw. But once you do so, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. And anytime before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on that same doomed surge, wild magic surge table after you cast a sorcerer spell at 1st level or higher. Cantrips don't apply in this case, and you then regain use of the feature. So get the Tides of Chaos. You have to ride out the next wave. Whatever is rolled on that table, and then you regain the use of it. If you follow this through to 6th level, you get to bend luck. and you have the ability to twist fate using that wild magic now. When another creature you can see makes an attack, roll an ability check, saving throw, you can use your reaction, which is cool, to spend 2 sorcery points, to roll 1d4 and apply the number rolled as a bonus or penalty, your choice, to the creature.
Bane or Bless.
Nice.
That is a
Yeah.
Bane or Bless.
It's a
Straight
Bane or
up.
Bless.
Targeted Bane or Bless.
And as with many of the flavors, you do so after they roll. That creature rolls, but before any of the effects of the roll occur. So you got to catch that DM at the right moment. You got to call it out after the roll, but while they're taking that deep breath to be like, hey, wait, I want a bit of luck. Yeah. Got to get it in there, as with a lot of the abilities we've seen in these subclasses. You stick this through to 14th level, you can control the chaos. You gain a modicum of this control, and whenever you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table, which as we've seen before for a number of times, you can roll twice and use either number. So it's rolling with a chosen advantage based on a table.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice. You get to choose between one. You get 2 choices instead of just the default of wild magic. It is a little bit of control. And then you stick it through until 18th level. If you want to be the craziest wild magic sorcerer I've ever heard of, you want to take everything into chance, you get spell bombardment. And at 18th level, the harmful energy of those spells increases. When you roll damage for a spell and roll the highest number possible of any of the dice, so a 6 on a d6, an 8 on a d8, roll it again and add it. If you crit on a die, roll it again.
Roll it again.
That's pretty dope.
If you get
That's
a 10
cool.
on a d10, if you get a 12 on a d12, you get a 6 on a d6,
Roll
4
it
on a
again.
d4. Roll it again. And no, don't take the better of it. Add it. You can use
If
the
you
feature.
rolled max damage 3 times in a row, guess who just added 4 dice?
But guess what? How often do you think you can use such a great feature as spell bombardment? Do you think you
Well,
could get it
Ben,
once every long
It
rest?
says one of those dice, not as many as you
Oh,
put on.
okay,
Only one of
okay.
them.
Okay.
Yeah, the highest number possible on any of those dice.
And then choose one of
Re-roll
those
that
dice. Yeah.
But
Okay.
do you think you would get this once every long rest? No, we're gonna do better than that. Once every short rest? No. Once every round? No, we can do better than that. You can use this feature once per turn.
So if you use your reaction and
Yeah.
somehow cause a spell with it, or
Warcaster. Take
Oh, shit.
Warcaster.
Roll it again. If you get a max number on the die, take that highest die you have at level 18. You got some crazy d12s bouncing around.
What are the
And
odds
you get a
would just
12 on
already
it?
survive to level 18 though?
Do it.
Pretty low.
And then
Do it.
once you do, what happens when you cast a fireball on your self and then roll an 8 on it? Guess
Yeah,
what, guys?
and
I gotta
exactly.
keep doing it.
And exactly. I'm going to pick a few of these highlights that I just read at random from this random wild magic table. We'll start with that one. 7 to 8. You roll a 7 to 8. You cast Fireball as a 3rd level spell centered on yourself.
Yep.
Wait a minute. 63 to 64. You cast Fog Cloud centered on your spells. Wait. 21 to 22. Creatures have disadvantage on saving throws against the next spell you cast in the next minute that involves a saving throw.
Read
well, that's
71 to
nice.
72.
71 to 72, you gain resistance to all damage for the next minute.
That's cool.
But let's go to 29 to 30. You teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space of your choice that you can see. What about 33 to 34? Maximize the damage of the next damaging spell you cast within the next minute. 61 to 62. For the next minute, you must shout when you speak. Everything's in here. Please
Yeah.
look at the wild magic
Yeah,
table.
37 to
Because this
38.
one, this one-
1d6 flumps that are controlled by the DM appear within 60 feet of you and are terrified of you. All they do is appear and run away. That's it.
Or if you roll a 38, you get that. If you roll a 39, you regain 2d10 hit points.
Yep.
Why? 87 to 88, you cast Fly on a random creature within 60 feet of you. Random. Suddenly the BBEG that was like a
Flying now.
Terrasque that was here is now up in the air and
Yeah,
about to whoop your ass.
I understand where Star Wars got it with. They fly now.
Yep.
He
This
must have been
is-
playing D&D before, so that's the only way it makes sense,
The force wasn't working properly that day.
right? Yeah.
All right.
What's up, Jake?
This is so
Pure
good.
fuck.
All right.
This is
I would
so.
I would say someone roll a 1d3, but those don't really exist.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Clearly, you people have never played Warhammer.
They do
I was
exist.
like, yeah, no, they definitely exist. Jake's got them.
They're just not commonly used in 5e.
No, you just
Yeah.
roll a d6 and, you know.
Also that, yeah.
It's
roll
not
D6.
real.
Or a
That's not real.
D4
So you're the
reroll 4s.
Yeah, but that still indicates that a 1d3 does not exist.
Oh,
Because
those do
technically
exist.
rolling a d6 and dividing it.
There are
They
D3s.
do actually exist.
If they duplicate
I've never
numbers, I
rolled
don't.
one
If
in
they
my
duplicate
life.
numbers, I don't count them.
Nope, they don't.
Okay.
There is a
Is it-
3-sided die.
Mhm.
God, that's so stupid.
All right, who's going first though on their opinions? Let's keep this rolling.
I love this so much.
Jake, yeah, take it. What do you think about
Because-
this one?
I like to use the term shenanigans. I like creating shenanigans as best I can. This just caters to it. I mean, you're just a ball of potential energy
Yeah.
that can just absolutely fuck shit.
Also, Jake, quick side note: at 53 to 54, you're immune to being intoxicated by alcohol for
I
the next
saw
5 to
that.
6 days. Yeah.
For up to 30 days.
I would honestly like. I think the way I'd play this is I'd have a martial character up to level 6, and then just get this to 14, and just create
Chaos.
all of the chaos, every of the chaos, bro. I mean,
A
it's
paladin,
it's
paladin,
great.
wild
It's-
magic sorcerer.
It's
Where are you
strong.
putting it? Where are you putting
I'm
it,
gonna
Jake?
put it at just because I love it so much. It's an A plus. I mean, this is. I could see it being potentially horrible for a party, but you gotta have that sense of chaos in your party every once in a while to just to
Yeah.
make things interesting. Definitely an A plus.
All right, Brady, what do you
Yeah.
think?
All right. Let's be realistic here on what this is. This is a ticking time bomb for a TPK. And that cannot be ignored. It's great. It adds that level of chaos, but what does it really do for the sorcerer? It adds a level of unpredictability and harm for a potential already very squishy character. I like what it does. The Wild Magic table has a lot of cool abilities. Some help you, most don't. There's a reason the Wild Magic table has the reputation that it does. None of your abilities are really giving you any real buffs. It's all centered around that table. It's not giving you anything extra besides that table, and that table, it doesn't do a whole lot to benefit you. And in a subclass where all of your abilities are going to revolve around one thing, you want that thing to generally be beneficial to the character. Because of all of that, and the fact that it doesn't really add anything to it, you could theoretically add a wild magic table to every single caster in the game. It doesn't make it special to the sorcerer here. I gotta give it a C-.
Okay. So
All right,
we got
Ben, what
varying
you got?
different views. Okay. So,
I've got something
I
at the end,
honestly,
and I'll wrap it all up.
Yeah, I honestly agree with both. In that, if you have a party that wants chaos, that accepts the fact that this might come around, dump on them, and ruin and end the game in 3 sessions. Hell yeah, do this. It sounds like so much just so much fun. Mechanically, I gotta go with until you get to level 14. Not so great. Until you get the opportunity to potentially cancel out a fireball on yourself or confusion on yourself and the party around you.
I mean, Ben Luck is one thing, but like a
Yeah,
bardic inspiration at its lowest level does better than that.
Right. And yeah, you can use it to knock someone down a bit, which is good, don't get me wrong. But until you get to level 14, just the potentiality for wrecking your party, even if it's like the 1d10 necrotic damage to everything within 30 feet of you, you might regain 70 hit points at the cost of half your party.
Worth it.
Or at low levels, you could just suck the life out of your party accidentally.
Yeah.
Whoops, guys. Sorry. Roll new characters, I guess. Which, once again, if you're in a party that wants chaos, if you're in a party that is designed to just be like, we're just gonna throw shit to the wind and see what happens, hell yeah, do this up all day.
See if it's stick.
And that kind of a party, throw this at an A. Mechanically, and in most parties where this is gonna piss a lot of people off, if you just randomly roll up with a wild magic sorcerer, I'm gonna have to agree with Brady. This deserves a C. Once you get to level 14, hell yeah, rolling this all day long. Because at 14, people have the opportunity to survive a lot of this stuff. It might hurt, don't get me wrong, but you have a chance to survive a lot of this. And with rolling 2 dice, you can choose either a nothing effect or a crazy beneficial effect.
All right, so where does that average it out? It averaged like a
That's-
low C.
That's an A plus and 2 C minuses, which gives it like
Yeah.
a C plus.
I would say
All
a
right.
C
I'd call it a
plus.
C plus.
All right, boys. So I got a curveball to throw in here real quick.
All right.
All right, let's hear it.
There is only one class that can either be the best benefit to your campaign or the worst detriment to your campaign
Yep.
that we have seen so far. This wild magic sorcerer, if the rolls are right, if they fall in the right place, it's going to be great. And
You're
do
one of the
have,
lucky
you
bastards, yeah.
and you do have an ability to control it at a certain point, at least to choose between two. The thing of it is, the wild magic table is rolled on a percentile die, and there
Yeah.
are 50 different options,
Yep,
something
50.
like that.
Everything's
Yeah.
based on 2, yeah.
Everything's got 2 numbers for it. The thing is, this is campaign dependent. Problem is, it's not dependent on what the other classes are in your party or the other roles are in your party. This is, I think, more campaign dependent on the level of your campaign.
Okay.
I am honestly telling you guys, I would love to bring a wild magic sorcerer into a one-shot and see what happens.
I mean, fair,
that-
yeah.
Yeah.
That is the best position. A top-level wild magic sorcerer. We could have 5 minutes of this session, or we could have 5 hours of this session. It all depends on the rolls. I am going to go against the grain of everyone
Okay.
and give this my first E. Here's why.
Okay.
With Wild Magic Table being a percentile die, and you having only a modicum of control halfway through your leveling, if you go into this fully, this is entirely unpredictable and entirely uncategorizable. I don't think there is any place that this works, and I don't think there is any way that we can know enough about this because of that large wild magic table to give it any rank.
That brings it down to a D. And
Nah.
honestly, for a wild magic, that's not that
I mean,
bad of a rank. Yeah.
I gotta
All about the
like I
shenanigans.
said, it with the right players and the right
idiots.
levels. I agree with you, Jake. I love the chaos of this. However, I think Justin hit the nail on the head because it's a 1 in 50 chance
It is.
Sure.
to reach anything.
For
You can't
14
predict-
levels.
Yeah, and even then, it's a 1 in 25 or a like.
And I
to get
want to
something
say,
good.
the E isn't low because it's bad.
Yeah, it's just
I want to
don't know
say
what's
the
gonna
E,
happen.
yeah, is the E is there because it is for the exponents and the variables that we don't necessarily consider.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and throw that one at a low D, like a D minus. I think that's fair.
I would
And we're
too,
gonna
yeah.
And we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the Sorcerer's subclass tier list.
Yeah.
You guys, please tell us what you thought. Tell us if you have any arguments. We like to come back to these and comment videos. Like, we really take your comments and your criticisms into consideration.
Helps us learn too.
And this isn't us just posturing in front of you guys. Our channel is supposed to be a conversation with you. You are our community. Please join in, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned. Mondays and Thursdays on the Intoxicated Intellect channel. We're going to do the rest of the subclasses. We're going to do a lot of more builds. Please stick around and we'll see you soon. Anybody else?
See you,
You hit the
everyone.
nail on the head. Join the discussion.
Bye,
Everybody.
guys.
See ya.
Ah.
See you